The ultimatum. Commander Zara Voss stood at the viewport of Bastion Station, Earth's last functioning orbital defense platform. Through the reinforced glass, she watched as another human destroyer erupted in a silent, brilliant explosion before fading to nothingness. The Meridian fleet had decimated humanity's outer defenses with terrifying efficiency. Now, only Bastion stood between them and Earth. "Status report," Zara demanded, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. Lieutenant Kai Chen looked up from his console, his face illuminated by the emergency lighting. 7 operational vessels remaining, Commander. The Meridians have over 300 approaching. Zara nodded, absorbing the information without allowing her expression to change. The command center buzzed with controlled urgency as officers relayed information. Tactical specialists analyzed enemy patterns, and communications experts maintained their increasingly fragile network. "Time until they're in range?" she asked. 38 minutes, Commander," replied Tactical Officer Maya Santos. "They're maintaining their current speed and formation." Zara turned away from the viewport, facing the large strategic display at the center of the command deck. The holographic projection showed the overwhelming Meridian fleet, represented by red markers advancing inexorably toward Earth. Their blue markers were pitifully few in comparison. "Major Harris," Zara called to her second-in-command. "Prepare the emergency transmission. It's time." Harris nodded grimly and began coordinating with the communications team. Everyone on the command deck knew what this meant. Humanity's last warning. Their final desperate attempt to prevent total annihilation. 5 months ago, humanity had celebrated its greatest achievement. First contact with an alien civilization. The Meridians had appeared at the edge of the solar system in sleek biomechanical ships that defied human understanding of physics. Their initial communications had been peaceful, speaking of cultural exchange and mutual advancement. Zara remembered watching the broadcasts with her brother Noah and his daughter Ellie from their family home in Neo-Auckland. Ellie, just 9 years old, had been captivated by the images of the alien vessels, her eyes wide with wonder. "Will I get to meet them, Aunt Zara?" she had asked. Zara had smiled and squeezed her niece's shoulder. "Maybe someday, little star." How quickly someday had turned to nightmare. The peace lasted barely a month before the Meridians revealed their true intentions. They hadn't come to share knowledge. They had come to harvest. Earth, with its abundant biosphere and diverse genetic library, was simply a resource to be exploited. The first attack came without warning. The Meridians destroyed the lunar colonies in a single strike, killing over 20,000 people. Next came Mars, then the mining operations in the asteroid belt. Humanity fought back with everything they had, but their technology was vastly inferior. In those desperate early days, as governments worldwide scrambled to unite against the external threat, Zara had been pulled from her position as aerospace commander to lead Earth's orbital defenses. Noah and Ellie were evacuated to one of the underwater shelters beneath the Pacific Ocean, along with millions of other civilians. The last time she had seen them was 76 days ago. She kept their picture on her tablet, Noah's kind eyes and reassuring smile, Ellie's gap-toothed grin and wild curls. Every decision Zara made was with them in mind, with the weight of knowing that failure meant they would never see another sunrise. "Commander," Chief Science Officer Dr. Imani Okafor approached, holding the secured tablet. "Project Singularity is ready for activation. All systems are green." Zara took the tablet, entering her authorization code. The screen flashed blue in confirmation. "Have the other command keys been authorized?" "Yes, Commander. The United Earth Defense Council has provided all 5 authorization codes. You now have full operational control of Singularity." Project Singularity. Humanity's terrible last resort. The weapon they had prayed they would never need to use. No one outside the highest levels of military command knew exactly what Singularity was capable of. The project had begun decades ago as a theoretical physics experiment, but had been accelerated dramatically after the Meridian invasion. The scientific team, led by Dr. Okafor, had worked tirelessly to bring it from concept to reality. All Zara knew was that it had the potential to not just defeat the Meridians, but to fundamentally alter the laws of physics within our solar system. Dr. Okafor had described it as weaponized spacetime, a concept so terrifying that even the hardened military leaders had blanched when briefed on its potential consequences. "Commander, transmission ready," Harris reported. "Global broadcast systems are aligned. We can reach the Meridian fleet and simultaneously transmit to all Earth Defense Forces and civilian shelters." Zara took a deep breath, straightening her uniform jacket. She tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear and moved to the communication station. The crew watched in silence, understanding the gravity of what was about to happen. "Open the channel," she ordered. The main screen flickered, revealing the face of the Meridian commander. They were vaguely humanoid in basic shape, but their skin was a metallic blue-gray, covered in geometric patterns that shifted slightly, as if alive. Their eyes were entirely silver with no discernible pupils, giving them an expression of perpetual coldness. The commander's head was adorned with a crown-like crest that pulsed with internal light. "I am Commander Zara Voss of the United Earth Defense Forces," Zara began, her voice clear and unwavering. "I speak on behalf of humanity with this final communication." The Meridian commander tilted its head slightly. When it spoke, its voice was harmonic but devoid of emotion, translated through the AI systems that had been working to bridge the communication gap since first contact. "The harvest of your world is inevitable, Commander Voss. Your defenses are failing. Surrender now, and a portion of your species will be preserved as genetic stock for the Meridian Collective." Zara's jaw tightened. "We have monitored your advance through our solar system. We have witnessed the destruction of our colonies and the slaughter of our people. Humanity will not surrender. We will not become your laboratory specimens." The Meridian commander's expression didn't change. Of course it didn't. Human expressions of emotion meant nothing to them. "Then you will be eliminated," it stated simply. "Your species' resistance is inefficient and counterproductive." "Before you continue your advance," Zara said, "I am authorized to inform you that humanity has developed a weapon of last resort. We call it Project Singularity." For the first time, the Meridian commander showed a reaction, a slight narrowing of those silver eyes. "Your primitive weapons cannot harm our fleet." Zara activated a sequence on her tablet, and the transmission included technical specifications of Singularity, enough to demonstrate its power without revealing how it worked. "Singularity is not a conventional weapon," she explained. "It targets the fabric of spacetime itself. If activated, it will create a quantum entanglement cascade that will expand outward from Earth at faster than light speeds, affecting everything in its path for a minimum distance of 3 light years." The data scrolled across the screen. Theoretical models, energy signatures, and a projected radius of effect. The science was beyond Zara's complete understanding, but the implications were clear. If Singularity was activated, nothing within the solar system would survive, including Earth itself. "This is Earth's final warning," Zara continued, her voice dropping lower but maintaining its strength. "Withdraw your forces beyond the orbit of Neptune. Establish a non-aggression treaty with humanity. If you continue this war, if you advance 1 kilometer closer to Earth, we will activate Singularity." She leaned forward slightly, looking directly into those alien eyes. "We would rather destroy ourselves and you together than live as your specimens. The choice is yours. You have 30 minutes to begin your withdrawal." Zara signaled, and Harris cut the transmission. The command center was silent. Everyone present understood what had just been declared. If the Meridians called their bluff, humanity would face an impossible choice: surrender and eventual extinction, or activate Singularity and ensure mutual destruction. Zara returned to the viewport, looking down at the blue planet below. Somewhere beneath those swirling white clouds, beneath the surface of the ocean itself, Noah and Ellie were waiting, hoping, praying. She placed her palm against the cold, transparent material, as if trying to reach across the void to touch them one last time. "Now we wait," she said quietly, more to herself than to the crew. The stars continued to shine, oblivious to the fate being decided beneath them. Humanity had delivered its ultimatum. The next move belonged to the Meridians, and the clock was ticking. Defiance's price. 27 minutes and counting. The command center of Bastion Station had fallen into an eerie quiet, broken only by the soft beeping of monitoring systems and the occasional hushed communication between officers. Everyone's eyes kept darting to the central chronometer as it counted down the minutes until humanity's ultimatum expired. Commander Zara Voss stood with her hands clasped behind her back, her posture rigid as she stared at the tactical display. The Meridian fleet had halted its advance, holding position beyond Mars orbit, but they hadn't begun to withdraw. "Any response from the Meridians?" she asked. Communications Officer Ravi Chandra shook his head. "Nothing, Commander. They've received our transmission. We can confirm that, but they haven't responded." Zara's jaw tightened. She had expected immediate dismissal, perhaps even acceleration of their attack. This silence was unexpected. Were they actually considering the ultimatum, or were they simply analyzing Singularity, trying to determine if it was a bluff? "Dr. Okafor," she called to the chief scientist who stood at a nearby console monitoring Singularity systems. "What's your assessment? Do you think they believe us?" Imani looked up, her eyes tired behind her glasses. "The data we transmitted was accurate, if incomplete. The Meridians have shown advanced understanding of quantum mechanics and space-time theory. They should be able to recognize the theoretical validity of Singularity." She paused. "Whether they believe we would actually use it, that's another question entirely." Zara nodded. That was the crux of it. Would the Meridians believe that humanity would choose mutual destruction over surrender? It was a terrible gamble, one that depended on the aliens' understanding of human psychology. "Commander," Lieutenant Chen called suddenly, his voice tight with urgency. "We've got movement in the Meridian fleet." All eyes turned to the tactical display. Several of the red markers representing Meridian ships were changing position, breaking from their previous formation. A collective breath was held on the command deck. They're splitting their forces," Maya reported, her fingers flying over her console. "One group is maintaining position, but a second group is accelerating toward Earth." Zara's heart sank. "They're calling our bluff." She turned to Dr. Okafor. "Prepare Singularity for activation. Begin the countdown." The scientist nodded grimly and moved to a secured console, entering a series of authorization codes. A new display appeared on the main screen. 15 o'clock minutes, counting down. "Open a channel to all Earth forces and shelters," Zara ordered. Harris nodded, his face pale. "Channel open, Commander." Zara straightened, looking directly into the camera. "This is Commander Voss. The Meridians have rejected our ultimatum and continue their advance. Project Singularity has been armed and will activate in 15 minutes unless the enemy forces withdraw. This is not a drill. Execute final protocols. May whatever gods you believe in watch over us all." She signaled for the transmission to end, then turned to her crew. "I want continuous monitoring of the approaching Meridian vessels. If they show any sign of retreat, any hesitation, I want to know immediately." The minutes ticked by, each one feeling like an eternity. The approaching Meridian ships showed no signs of slowing. 10 minutes remaining. "Commander," Ravi called, a note of surprise in his voice. "We're receiving a transmission from the Meridian command vessel." "On screen," Zara ordered. The Meridian commander appeared, its silver eyes unreadable. "You are bluffing, Commander Voss. Our analysis indicates that while your Singularity weapon is theoretically possible, you would not sacrifice your entire species to destroy us." Zara met its gaze steadily. "You've misunderstood humanity, Commander. We would rather die free than live as slaves or specimens. Our countdown continues. Your ships are still advancing. You have less than 10 minutes to withdraw. Your species is irrational, the Meridian stated. You value individual autonomy over collective survival. This is why you are inferior. This is why you will be harvested. That so-called irrationality is precisely why you should believe us. Zara replied. 8 minutes, Commander. Your choice. The screen went dark. 7 minutes. The Meridian advance force is still approaching. Maya reported. No change in speed or heading. 6 minutes. Dr. Okafor approached Zora, speaking quietly. Commander, there's something you should know about Singularity. Something the Council didn't tell you. Zara frowned. Tell me. The device doesn't exactly work the way we described to the Meridians. Imani explained. It does create a quantum cascade, but it won't destroy everything in the solar system. Zara's eyes widened. What will it do? It targets specific quantum signatures, specifically the unique signature of Meridian biomechanical technology. It will destroy their ships, their weapons, everything they've built. But it won't harm Earth or conventional human technology. Why wasn't I told this before? Zara demanded. Because your reaction needed to be genuine. The Meridians can detect micro-expressions, physiological responses. If you knew Singularity wouldn't destroy humanity, you might not have conveyed the necessary level of desperate resolve. Zara processed this information quickly. So when the countdown reaches 0, only the Meridians will be affected, will survive. 5 minutes. Commander, Maya called out. The Meridian ships, they're slowing down. The tactical display confirmed it. The red markers were decreasing their speed, their trajectory beginning to flatten. 4 minutes. They're coming to a complete stop, Chen reported, disbelief in his voice. 3 minutes. Incoming transmission from the Meridian commander, Ravi announced. The alien appeared on screen again, its metallic features somehow conveying agitation despite their alienness. We have reevaluated our assessment of human psychology. Our advance force is halting. We request cessation of your Singularity countdown while we negotiate terms. Zara's expression remained impassive. Negotiate. You came to harvest us. There is nothing to negotiate. Withdraw beyond Neptune's orbit as instructed, or face the consequences. 2 minutes. The Meridian fleet is turning around, Maya exclaimed. All vessels, including the main fleet. They're accelerating away from Earth. 1 minute. Should we stop the countdown, Commander? Harris asked. Zara considered this for a moment, then shook her head. No, let it complete. But if they're withdrawing, Harris began. We need to show them we weren't bluffing, Zara replied quietly, and we need to ensure they can never threaten us again. 0. A soft tone sounded throughout the command center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, across the vast expanse of space, the Meridian ships began to glow with an eerie blue light. The light intensified, spreading from ship to ship as if they were connected by invisible threads. On the tactical display, red markers began to disappear one by one, then in groups, then in waves. Within minutes, the entire Meridian fleet had vanished. It worked, Dr. Okafor whispered. The quantum cascade. It worked exactly as theorized. Zara watched through the viewport as the last traces of blue light faded from view. Send verification probes. I want confirmation that no Meridian technology remains functional within our solar system. Already deploying, Commander, Chen responded. Hours later, the reports were conclusive. Every trace of Meridian technology had been neutralized, converted at the quantum level into inert matter. Earth was safe. Zara stood alone at the viewport, watching as the first relief vessels began to launch from Earth's surface, heading for the damaged orbital stations and the few surviving human ships. Dr. Okafor joined her, holding 2 cups of coffee. She offered one to Zara. The Council wants to speak with you. They're calling you a hero. Zara accepted the coffee but scoffed at the notion. I was ready to destroy humanity to save it. That doesn't feel heroic. But you knew the truth at the end, and you still activated Singularity. Imani pointed out. You knew it would only target the Meridians. I knew we couldn't trust them to keep their word, Zara replied. If we had stopped the countdown, they would have realized it was more than a bluff. They would have analyzed what happened, adapted, and returned. This way, they'll believe we were willing to destroy ourselves. The story of Earth's suicidal defiance will spread through whatever interstellar communication they have. A deterrent. Exactly. Zara sipped her coffee. No other species will attempt to harvest Earth if they believe we'll take them with us. And what now, Commander? Zara's eyes drifted to her tablet, to the picture of Noah and Ellie. Now we rebuild, and we prepare. The universe just became aware of humanity's existence, and our first impression was one of defiance. Some will respect that. Others will see it as a challenge. She turned to face the scientist. The technology that went into Singularity, can it be adapted for other purposes? Propulsion, perhaps. Imani smiled slowly. You're thinking of taking the fight to them someday. I'm thinking humanity doesn't belong in just one solar system, Zara replied. We've proven we'll fight to defend what's ours. Maybe it's time we started exploring what else is out there, on our terms. Below them, Earth continued its eternal rotation, its blue oceans and swirling white clouds unaware of how close they had come to extinction. For the first time in months, Zara allowed herself to truly believe that she would see Noah and Ellie again, that there would be a future for humanity among the stars. But it would be a future forged in defiance, purchased with the willingness to risk everything rather than surrender. The price of freedom had almost been existence itself, a price humanity had been prepared to pay.